So, Tony, you want to tell me a little bit about your childhood?
At an early age, I lost my grandfather from cancer. I didn't really know at the time what that all meant. And dealing with that and my father leaving and not in the picture, that it was a shit thing. But then also having the mix of my brother also getting cancer, I try to show that I'm sad, but all that's coming out is a smile. I didn't cope because I didn't know what my coping mechanisms was or were. I would get upset quite a bit as a kid, but then it would just pass, and I just felt like it was normal. I think a lot of the times too, when young males are playing up in school, especially from like a young age, they quite get like put in this box, and it's just like sense detention type thing. It's like they're just being naughty. Everyone felt like that, so I didn't really see any need to look into it much further. It wasn't until I was much older that I found a coping mechanism. But I guess like one would be my writing.
My mind is holding me hostage. Day after day passes, alone in the dark. The shallows of what I once was. How can some people just move past, move on in life? I think I'm slowly drowning, sinking, foot after foot. Help I call, but I'm alone. I suddenly awake and it's all been a nightmare. Why does my mind hate me? I just want to be free.
I felt really lost because I had no one to talk to about this. And yeah, it's just male. You're kind of having to put on this mask and just pretending to be someone you're not for like 6 years of your life.
Right. Okay. So, biggest insecurity. My biggest insecurity is revealing that I feel alone.
My biggest insecurity is that I'm not good enough. So I don't know if it's an insecurity, but it's just like feeling alone and feeling lonely, and like that you're not connecting with anyone in the way you really want to.
Hi, my name is Dave Benjamin, and I'm here to talk about how I was diagnosed with ADD and just, growing up with mental health as a male in New Zealand. When I get really passionate about what I'm talking about, it just like comes out as like a waterfall of words. I felt like I was just burdening people that I loved, and I couldn't get off that thought for some reason. And I feel like sometimes I still struggle with it, and it comes back as like one of the many ping-ponging thoughts that bounce around in my head.
My experience of feeling empty, it's hard. You're out with friends, you're supposed to be having a good time, and yet you've just got this feeling that you don't want to be there, but you don't want to be alone.
I kind of like lost my way for a bit, got like lost in drugs and like alcohol and just the wrong crowd really. And I think since then I've come to decide and choose to make better choices and kind of follow dreams and a path in the future instead of just thinking about the right now.
It all started when I started talking to this infinitely interesting girl called Pixie, and she asked me if I was free after school, and I said, hell yeah. And she wanted to know if I wanted to hang out with her and her best friend Tony. And I thought, yeah, it's the beginning of the year. Let's get to know some new people. And so we went to a park. We sat behind a tree. I whipped out as many art supplies as I had in my bag, and Tony whipped out his book and his pens. And yeah, we happily sat in silence. And then Tony started reading what he had written. I was like shocked because I thought he was just reading some shit that like he wrote months ago that he'd been working on for weeks, but then he was like, no, I just wrote that now, and it just helps me like write a lot. And I just thought that's fucking amazing. I couldn't do that if I like tried. If I could, you try to tell people that you had a real tough night last night, but it just won't happen. Like, I just wouldn't tell people that. I wouldn't tell, oh fuck man, like last night I was freaking out. I had a big breakdown. I just feel like the network is less there.
Okay.
Tell us about the last time you opened up about that insecurity.
The last time I opened up about that, I briefly mentioned it to a friend and they brushed it off.
I've often opened up to like my parents and stuff, and recently opened up to my girlfriend about it, but yeah, she didn't really understand, and neither did my parents. They just say like, get over it, which isn't helpful.
The last time I opened up about that is probably never. Yeah, I can't think of a time when I did. Would I like to open up about it? I mean, yeah. I don't know, I guess it's just not something that anyone's asked me before, really. Or that, like, I've really talked to anyone before. Not because, I guess, I've been, like, hiding it, but just because, I just haven't been asked.
Like, only when I've, like, come into, like, a healthy, like, loving relationship do I actually realize that, I don't know, it's just not like that,
And so, yeah, when Dev's, like, going through a tough time, like, mentally, or if he's having, like, a depressive episode, it's just reminding him that everything's okay, and I'm not gonna leave, and we're gonna stick through this.
It takes a lot to make a man open up. It takes a lot to, like, get under a man's skin and, like, hear how he is vulnerable. And a lot of the time it takes a really special person to actually hear and understand that vulnerability.
What's the most vulnerable state you've seen a man in?
Sobbing. And not knowing how to deal with the fact that he was sobbing.
My father, when he was going through a divorce with his wife, not my mum, but he broke down as a real human to me, and the illusion that he was a strong, hard-working man disappeared, and he broke out crying in front of me and my sister, and I think that was probably the first time I realized that, there's more to being a man than just putting on a front.
I think full vulnerability is what I've seen. As my dad crying, it was the first time I've seen him cry. Just kind of open up about things I didn't know he was anxious about, and just saw him in like a real different light, and kind of it made me empathize him a lot more, and made me realize like I could relate to him a lot more too. Just seeing that shell when those barriers come down.
Now, if you're not happy, do something about it. Do change it, make yourself happy. And whether that's leaving something behind or changing something small in your routine, do what makes you happy and follow your dreams. Just because you have this, it doesn't mean you're kind of ruled out of life,
At the end of the day, you gotta want to pull yourself out. And like, happiness is a choice. A lot of people tell you that, but it's hard at the beginning. You don't believe it, but eventually, honestly, one day you will. Like happiness, can be a choice.